Community members in the Somerset West area are still waiting for answers after Monday's explosion and fire that left 8 people dead in South Africa. The cause of the incident is not yet known. Last night, community members met at a town hall meeting on what to do next and for answers. The Minister for State Security visited during the day and addressed the media along with top officials.
The fatalities could be more or less, but anxious family members are waiting for definite answers. Some have already confirmed the bad news, but others are still hoping to be spared the pain.
The anxiousness, they want to know what happened. They want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. And we are also here to give support to the company itself, so that we are able to carry this heaviness which is in our hearts together. We'll be closely looking at them to figure out how it has happened. And at some point, a decision will be made and a determination which says this is the cause of the fire. And at that point in time, it's less about arguments. Some things about insurance, some things are about liability to one or the other. But at this stage, it is proper that they contain the site to make sure that it is not tampered with, that every other agency that needs to go in and look for what they need to look for, they are able to find it properly contained. It is indeed sad day. We have lost lives. But one thing for sure between Rheinmetall and Denel is that these are our people.
The government and labor leaders are calling for a thorough investigation and a closer look at the health and safety structures of the firm, as this is not a first.
Our safety procedures are really on the top. They are monitored by outside people as well as by our internal safety and health department. We are training our people very thoroughly, and we are having a very scheduled check of all the safety standards that they are turned to in these companies.
Outside the firm this Wednesday morning, workers are seen going in and out, resuming for duties, and then people are stopping by to lay flowers in honor of the dead. Rheinmetall Denel Munition is a German-owned company, but Denel, South African-owned, owns 49% strategic stakeholdership. Hopefully, soon enough, there will be more answers than questions. From Somerset West near Cape Town, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
The United Nations says rival militia factions that have been fighting in Libya's capital for the past week have agreed to a ceasefire. The talks included military officers, leaders of various armed groups in and around the capital, and the UN-backed government of National Accord. The UN mission in the country says the ceasefire also provides for the reopening of the capital's only functioning airport, which has been closed since August 31st due to clashes. However, the mission says the agreement does not aim to fix all the Libyan capital's security problems. Instead, it seeks to agree on a broader framework on the way to start addressing these issues. Let's get more on this story now from an African affairs analyst, Mr. Achike Chude. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
What do you make of this latest ceasefire?
Well, it's a good thing. I mean, Libya has gone through so much over the years, and it would appear somehow that a lot of people have given up. But one is happy that there are renewed efforts once more to try to bring peace to that troubled nation. The EU is involved in it, and then some other African countries. Everybody is working to ensure that there's some level of order, stability in Libya. Of course, we are all aware that there is no government in Libya, apart from the one that is being backed by the United Nations. So it's a very good thing. But again, we also have to take it into, a little bit of history into context. This is not the first time that efforts have been made, to ensure peace and stability in Libya.
So, like you said, this is the third time something like this is being agreed on. What makes this one different from the others?
Well, I think there's a greater will, there's a greater desire, by all sides to ensure that this time around that there is meaningful progress made. And then, of course, it's not just, again, the conference in Paris, supervised by Macron, also involved most of the factional leaders. the head of the government, the present prime minister, the factional leaders, the head of parliamentary groups, rival parliamentary groups in Libya, and again, there are some other countries that have a stake in Libya, and that has not happened before. Countries like Turkey and Egypt have also been brought into the fray because they are also interested parties in what is going on in Libya. So when you bring this, just like the South Sudan agreement, that also included other countries that are also, power brokers in that particular, crisis. So once you bring them into, there's a greater desire, hopefully, to have a more meaningful resolution to the crisis that is going on there.
The UN has been mediating in the crisis since, but what is the role of the African Union in this issue? Why can't Africans resolve their own issues eternally?
It's a million naira question. And there is this thought, this new thinking everywhere, even by the Europeans, that it's only Africans that can fix Africa's problems. So definitely we have to dig deep within us. We have to do much more than we are doing. We can only have some level of help from international partners, but in the main, it is Africans that must show capacity to want to resolve the various contradictions that are afflicting the African continent. And in most cases, again, I think what happens usually is that the international organizations tend to work with Africans, more or less, to try to bring about some resolution to the problems that they are having. But you also realize that the Libyan situation is a peculiar one too, because what happens in Libya has a direct impact on the immigration crisis that is going on in Europe. And of course, you know that it has also become a political issue in many countries in Europe, in Germany, in Italy, in Greece, and all of that. A lot of the migrants that are moving in from the African continent are moving in from Libya and into those other places. So they're also causing serious political problems in those other countries. So there's a greater interest by the international community, especially the Europeans, to try to resolve some of these issues. And they cannot resolve that if they do not try to resolve some of the problems that Libya is facing today.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Achike Chude, an African Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure too.
Still to come on the program. Al-Shabaab militants kill 4 soldiers, kidnap scores of elders in Somalia. Please stay with us.